into a single prayer in preparation for the Congress. There's this feeling that this is the most inner Congress, most inner convention we've ever had. So, let's prepare ourselves for the right request. Prayer from the depth of the heart above reason. Let's raise man from the center of the 10. A shared desire that will become the prayer of many, other than being always in prayer for the Creator to pray for the friends to be in prayer to pray for me to have the strength and right thought to always pray for you and be in adhesion. So now, we have an opportunity. Let's do it in this lesson and especially towards the upcoming Congress. And I'm certain that now too, if we unify all of our forces and thoughts and imagine we're already in the Congress, we'll have the same power every moment. Excerpt number 1. To be rewarded with the glory of the Creator, one must believe in the Creator. Then pray to the Creator to bring him closer to him. Afterwards, one must labor to subdue his inclination and want to annul himself for the sake of the Creator. After these 3 actions, he is rewarded with the glory of the Creator. Concerning the debate between Jacob and the, we'll read again. To be rewarded with the glory of the Creator, one must believe the Creator. Then pray to the Creator to bring him closer to him. Afterwards, one must labor to subdue his inclination and want to annul himself for the sake of the Creator. After these 3 actions, he is rewarded with the glory of the Creator. Active workshop. What actions must we take in the 10 in order to be rewarded with the glory of the Creator? What actions must we take in the 10 in order to be rewarded with the glory of the Creator? We have to believe in the Creator like these 3 actions he writes here. We have to strengthen the foundation of faith in the 10 because that we are certain that the Creator hears the prayer and he's aiming us in all our actions until we come to faith in the Creator. Yes, he says in the text he mentions the actions which are to believe in the Creator, to pray, to submit. What's important, however, is that we must do it in the 10 to do it together. The first action, as a friend said, is to believe the Creator, but the faith is built from the connection between us, wanting to nullify to each other and find the Creator behind every friend. We need to magnify the Creator to elevate him in the temple, in each and every action. And we need to mention him and to want to adhere to him, to appreciate and value everything he gave to us. The question is, what do we want to get? There's a preparation, and every time we make another step towards the connection, towards the state where we are in one heart, which actions was especially to pray to be annulled before the fence, because through this annulment you receive the greatness, the glory of the Creator. That most especially, the 3 actions he writes about here are that what the light, that reforms, can do to us, and we long for the light to work on us in a way that builds the right desire. Another thing he mentioned here in the text is to exert to subdue the inclination. So in the 10, we have an opportunity to exert in connection to subdue the inclination to offer prayer together. All the actions come from the 10 also. Having faith in the Creator. No one has enough importance for that. And also the prayer that needs to come from the 10. And everything that we do. We are not disconnected from the Creator. On the contrary, we must discover how connected we are to our root with the Creator, with the upper force, and how we can come closer to him by revealing him each time as our root. Again, we are not disconnected from the Creator. On the contrary, we must discover how connected we are to our root, to the Creator, to the upper force, and how we can come closer to him by revealing him each time as our root. Silent workshop. Let's feel that we are connected with our root, with the Creator, with the upper force. Again, let's feel that we are connected with our root, with the Creator, with the upper force. Silent workshop. Hello friends. In the first part of the lesson, we'll learn from a lesson from December 8th, 2021 on Balisms, Shamarti 98. Spirituality is called that which will never be lost. Chalam. Hello. We are reading from the writings of Balaam, page 601 in the Hebrew book, where articles of Shamarti 88, spiritual 98, spirituality is called that which will never be lost. You can find the study material when you click the study material button at the top menu, and you can send your questions in, and selected questions on the study material will be asked during the lesson. Kabbalist wants to pass on to us in all kinds of ways and possibilities the knowledge and feeling of bringing closer to us what spirituality is. Spirituality is actually the feeling of the Creator, but at least how to come close to that, how to approach it, to prepare our senses and not be confused, specifically those that can assist us in revealing spirituality. Develop those senses and the rest. Senses. Understand that we don't gain anything by having them. On the contrary, they will just confuse us if we continue working with them, and also to discover the process by which we need in the development of the correct senses that we can go through with. Therefore, they write to us, recommend, and are capable as much as they're capable to explain to us what connection there is, what is the opposedness, what's the resistance, and what's relative to spirituality. Let's read Article 98. Spirituality is called that which will never be lost. Spirituality is called that which will never be lost. Hence the will to receive, in its form, in the form it is in meaning, in order to receive, is called correlati, since it will be cancelled from this form, and will acquire the form of in order to bestow. A real place in spirituality is called the place of reality, since anyone who comes there to that place sees the same shape as the other. Conversely, something imaginary is not regarded as a real place, since it is imaginary, and then everyone imagines it differently. And when we say 70 faces to the Torah, it means that there are 70 degrees, and each degree in the Torah is interpreted according to the degree one is in. However, a world is a reality, meaning that anyone who comes to any of the 70 degrees in that world attains the same form as all the other attainers who came there. And from this extends what our sages said who interpret the verses of the Torah. They say that this is what Abraham said to Isaac, and other similar sayings of our sages. They would say what they would say, what is explained in the verses. The question is, how did they know that? One, what one said to the other. But because those who achieved the degree where Abraham or anyone stood, they see and know what Abraham knew, and so, for this reason they know what Abraham said. It is likewise in all the sayings of our sages that interpret the verses of the Torah. All that was because they too attained a degree, and each degree in spirituality is a reality, and everyone sees that reality. Just as all those who come to the city of London in England see what is in the city and what it is said in the city. I'll read it again, and then if there are questions. There's nevertheless certain innovations in the explanation of spiritual attainment. Spirituality is called that which will never be lost, because spirituality is called degrees of attainment of the Creator on the side of the created being, where the created being is certainly in opposite qualities to the Creator, meaning he is completely in reception and the Creator is fully in bestow. And when the creature begins to arrange himself and is willing to feel the Creator, meaning the quality of the stone according to the way he depicts it himself and what he develops inside him, then according to that he discovers what come and see Creator is, and the feeling of the Creator, the attainment of the Creator is called spirituality. Spirituality is called that which will never be lost, since it's the attainment of the upper force which is eternal to begin with. Therefore, the will to receive in the form it's in the creature, which is in order to receive, is called corporality, because it will be cancelled from this form. It stands to be cancelled, and to be replaced into the desire to bestow, and it will take on the form of in order to bestow. A real place. What is a place in spirituality? It's called the place of reality, since anyone who comes there to some place, to some state, special state, meaning that place sees the same form as the other does. This is already considered that a person is in a place where if the other can grasp, and he can grasp in the same form like the second one, just like the other outside of him. So this perception is called that they in one place. It's called a place. Conversely, something imaginary is not regarded as a real place, because it is imaginary, meaning it depicted only, imagined only to one of them, and not to the others. And then everyone imagines it differently, where he is. And when we say there are 70 faces to the Torah, this means that there are 70 degrees, and in each degree, the Torah is interpreted according to the degree one is in. The Torah itself is the light of Ensel, but when a person attains it, he depicts it according to his desires, according to his part that he attains, according to the qualities that he attains in the connection with the group, the friends, his partners, and this is how he clarifies what Torah is, which are 70 degrees, and in each degree the Torah is interpreted according to the degree that one is in. However, a world is a reality, meaning that anyone who comes to some degree of the 70 degrees which are in that world, the world is already something. It's a certain beggar degree which includes within its 70 degrees. Then he attains that form just like all those who attain there, meaning there's a certain common attainment between all the created beings. When they come to a degree called world, they attain something that is common, whereas the matter of the degrees is a more individualistic thing, and each attains in some different form in his private individual way. From this extent, what our sages said, who interpret the verses of the Torah as we see how they write, where Kabbalist writes, this is how Abraham would say to Isaac, and so forth. In the rest of our sages' articles, how do they say, how do they know what one said to the other, but rather, they're not talking about people, they're talking about forms of connections that there are between the degrees, and they would say what they would say. And the question is asked, how do they know that which one said to the other? But as we already spoke about as mentioned, because those who achieve the degree which is called Olam, called world, they have this common feeling, common attainment, where the degree of Abraham would stand, let's say, or someone else from these forces, from these Purim, these spiritual suim, then they see and know on themselves, from their attainment and from the fact that they now become that form of Abraham. Therefore they see and know what Abraham knew in, because now they're saying it, they know it, they attain it, this state, and he lives in them, he's in them, because there's no matter of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and people, etc. These are matters of degrees and state to which we enter. We go through them on the way towards our correction. For this reason, and for this reason, because those who came to that degree where Abraham was standing or someone else, they see and know just as Abraham knew and saw. Therefore, they know what Abraham said, because now they're clothed in that form, in that attainment, in that degree, like Abraham, and therefore they're not now called Abraham. That which a person attains in spirituality, accordingly, that's what his name is called him. It is likewise in all the sayings of our sages, where they interpret verses of their Torah. All that was because they too attained the degree, and each degree in spirituality is a reality, and everyone sees this reality. Those who attain it just as all those who come, let's say, to the city of London. In England, everyone sees what's in the city, and what is said in that city. That's it. That's actually what do we have to take out of this? Soon, according to your questions, we will clarify, please, Italy, for thereof. It's difficult to understand with our mind what you just said for me. It's not clear, for example, when you come to a certain degree, and you say that you see that reality of one who is in that degree, as you gave the example of Abraham. Can you explain that a bit more? Well, let's say you're at the movies. You go in to see a movie, whether on your television, or you go to a theatre or to a movie theatre, whatever is being presented for you there, and you're included there with some main character, the hero that you are with there, and you identify with that hero fully. And then as you lose yourself and enter to clothing the character of the hero, you start to talk like this hero and to do like this hero. That's called spiritual attainment. If you were to do so in your study, that you're being taught how you need to improve in order to reach that resemblance to the Creator. So the degrees of being like the Creator are called the latter. And this is how you go and advance and become more and more like him. There are altogether 125 degrees. If we're talking about degrees of worlds, or we could divide them to 70 degrees, and so on. It's not so important because the number is much more well altogether. This is how we divide them in order to understand the essence of the degrees, that to the extent in which you resemble more to the bestower, by that you come closer to the complete form of the Creator to which you need to reach. That's the whole matter of the degrees. No, I'm sorry, Rob. What I didn't understand is how, when I come to the degree of Abraham, how do I understand that I reached that degree of Abraham? What happens to me that I understand that I reached the degree of Abraham and not the degree of no? For example, you discover it, you feel it, you start to see and feel and understand reality through the image of the character of Abraham. That's what it means that the character, the degree of Abraham clothes you, or you clothe the degrees of Abraham, the degree of Adam of Abra. That's why he says they know what each said, because the Torah doesn't tell us about people that there was some guy, Abraham, that they tell to little children or to big children. But we need to understand that we're being told about the degrees of attainment of the Creator, about the degrees in which we resemble ourselves to the Creator, and those degrees are called that way: the degree of Isaac, the degree of Abraham, the degree of Jacob, and even before that or after that. And there are many degrees, many states, which we need to clothe in these seemingly heroes, these images. And this is how, if we play with them, act with them like they are that called, that I identify with them from within, and then I adapt myself more and more to the form of the Creator until I reach adhesion to Him. I heard that we attain degree by degree in general. Yes, there are more general attainments and more personal attainments. That's all relative to the attaining person. But it's not that, it's some reality that changes. Reality is always the same. Reality, it's the light of Insaf that fills all of reality. Only are we, to the extent in which we can adapt ourselves to the light of Insul in our vessel, as our vessel becomes more and more broad, unlimited. In this way we call those degrees of closening to the degree of Insaf degrees of attainment, the latter the spur the worlds, the partum, etc. But it's all relative to the people who are revealing those who are actually under the reality of Insaf. What's the connection? There are many states that we go through until we completely reveal the Creator, which is the goal. And this is all through our correction of our desire. So it will open up more when it receives, and we will attach to it the intention in order to bestow. And that is actually our corrections, to the extent in which we are capable to use our desire, which is egotistical to begin with, to perform a restriction, a screen and the reflected light, and adapt ourselves to the force of bestow of the Creator. Accordingly, we advance. This advancement until we identify with the Creator fully does not happen to us at once in one action, but rather in many actions, which are called hours, days, months, years, and so on, until 6,000 year, which in this concept includes within it thousands of states that we have to go through, and Kabbalists define them and reveal them in 125 degrees, in 70 degrees, in 6,000 degrees, and so on and so forth. It depends what they want to tell us about, and what we need to change on our way towards identifying with the Creator. But the end is clear to us all, that it's all the desire that's revealed in a person, and as much as he's in the system of Adamarish that will be revealed, we need to invert it to be in order to bestow meaning, to join to every desire that's revealed in us the intention in order to bestow through the others to the general force of the others, which is called the Creator. Mark 6, how not to confuse a real place with the imaginary world. Advance more and more in identifying oneself with the articles and what's written in them, and then you'll see to what degree you're confused, and it's clarifying. And every single one of those concepts, it's written, there's no righteous in the land which has done good and has not sinned. Meaning, we need to first enter into the sin, into corruption, into the error, to the darkness, to the fact that we don't understand, meaning all the discernments and feelings that are seemingly negative, and then specifically from within them, we advance to states of clarity, understanding, feeling, and connection. That's how it is. It can't be. You can't have one without the other. As it's written, there's no light unless from the advantage of darkness. When we come to degrees of darkness, that's already good. It's a sign that we will also reach the scrutiny, the clarification of the light, and it can't be any other way. It all begins with the night, and then day. You shall have the, and then the morning, and that's one day. Clear. Good morning, Rev. Good morning, world. We have a question from our friends in Carbu. 4. How are the first degrees felt? How are they? That I can't tell you with words. If it's felt, then you need to do so with your feeling. They are felt as something from the discernment of connection opens up for you. The intention of bestow which is outside of a person, which leads a person to rise above one's nature and opens up for him the possibility to see reality in a different quality, in a quality of bestow. This is called I have seen an opposite world. It's a question from a friend, how to correctly imagine or depict the degree we climb to, that it's just like I am now, but in a more connected manner, more bestowing to all of its parts to one another, and in greater patience to others, maybe even in connection, maybe even in love. That's how we depict the degree which is above us, compared to our state. Clear. We constantly talk about how the 10 is our vessel for making contact with spirituality, how to imagine ourselves in such connection between us, in our accumulated common experience, how by that we can reveal the next spiritual degree. Try to reach the extent in which you can understand what love towards your friends is, connection with them, identification with them in your spiritual life. And then from that you'll start to feel the matter that the sources that we're reading and learning, and that's how it is simply through the connection. You have no other vessels. You have no other possibility of approaching vessels of Histel other than through the connection with your 10. That feeling of love that is revealed between the friends, it comes into expression as a result. Of course, the expression of all the spiritual degrees we discover first between us, and the connection between us, and the quality that we will say connect between us. A certain quality of connection between us is called Abraham. Another quality, it's called Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Aaron, David, and so on. That's how they're called. It's not people. You understand? It's not personas, heroes. These are the degrees. These are spiritual discernments that Kabbalists talk about in the form of seemingly as them being people of this world, but it's not. It's completely not. He writes here that there is something imaginary that each one can imagine for himself, and there's the attemptment of spirituality is something general that is apparent to everyone. How do we reach that general view? After each of us efforts in coming closer to friends, one feels in his attitude towards them a certain inclination on his behalf that's common to everyone, a common feeling with everyone. And this is how he begins to acquire qualities of bestow. Certainly the Creator here, the upper light that wants to be revealed inside his vessel, comes closer and performs all kinds of exercises with him, comes closer to him, distances from him, gives him all kinds of manners of what it means to come close. What does it mean to come far, farther from France? Meaning to external foreign desires. That's on one hand, but on the other hand, those that are closer as close as possible to him, as they're also doing all kinds of actions. What does it mean? They're doing. The Creator through them is performing towards him all kinds of actions. And this way we enter the practical spiritual work. That's called practical Kabbalah. Okay, let's say that in the 10, Abraham is revealed, or any other degree. So the friends in the tent will all feel it that we came to a certain state. No, each according to his exertion, because you're already not talking about the spiritual 10, but talking about the corporeal 10, where you have people before you. Don't get confused, and then each and every person in the 10 attains it according to his effort, according to the root of his soul, but they all advance, and they all bestow upon one another. Therefore, each of them needs to feel himself as responsible for the advancement of his friends. And that's how we are all together. That's already called Arv, meaning a mutual commitment that we support one another, and we will discover and start to work on this with ourselves. Okay, quickly PT 19. Thank you. R. In the Torah there are instances of P, where the Creator turns to a person, not just Abraham to Isaac, things like that. Question is, do we also attain that? Personally, yes. Everything that's written in the Torah a person needs to reveal. Personally, that's called to write the book of Torah upon the heart of a person. The heart is called desire. So we need to inscribe everything that is spoken of in the Torah about our desires, meaning to process our desires in such a way that they will change and take on the upper light that will clothe them perfect completely. That's called to write the book of Torah on your heart. Good day. When I am searching for these sensations of a new degree, I'm looking for it for myself. This is not an egoistic search of sorts. For the time being, we're thinking that we egotistically about everyone, and about the friend, and about the Creator. But gradually, it's called the action of the reforming light which the force of the Creator, the light, bestows upon your will to receive. There is nothing in spirituality other than the upper light, the bestowing force, and the will to receive the lower force. And then by you wanting to adapt yourself to the upper light, you want to understand it, you want to attain it, to come close to it. Then you do this from the Rishimol, the records that remain from the shattering of, and then by that as you want to egotistically do so to bring close to you the upper light, the Creator, and for the time being as you nevertheless want to bring him closer, you go according to all kinds of spiritual laws as well, even though you're completely not aware of this, but you come closer to the friends, you learn, you rise to the lesson, you participate in the with the others, and this is how you slowly do some kind of acts of bestow. Therefore, your heart and mind open up more and you begin to attain discernments from connection, and that's how you advance. That's our way, and the main thing is to understand that advancement is in connection in the 10. Is it worthwhile to aspire? Not clear. We cannot check such things. How we perceive reality together as much as it's together, and not that will confuse us. Let's try to now, as much as possible, as we read these articles, try to rope ourselves in these articles, to clothe them, and to simply clothe them upon us. And maybe it's not worthwhile more inwards because it will confuse us. It will simply also the articles themselves. You see how they're each time giving us some opportunity to enter inwards to spirituality, and we once more exit and again enter with another article and exit again. It's best if we try just as the article is written to identify with that which we read without adding all kinds of imaginary forms of ours. PT 24. Good morning, Raf. In the corporeal world, the imaginary world, we are very subjective, of course, because we're individuals and separated each according to his perception. We can understand that. But in spirituality, where we see the same form in the same degree and we reach and attain it, is it because the degree is tangible and permanent, or because of the sensation of unity that we seemingly are one man in one heart, or something like that, that we see the same thing and not as individuals in separation in our sensation, our spiritual sensation? If we advance correctly, then the soul of a person shall teach him. We begin to feel what should we do more and more in order to come closer to attainment. And attainment is not that we attain with our intellect like it is in our world. This is actually called being a wise. Alright, don't attain the thing, but I only understand it perhaps how it is in my intellect. Rather, attainment means as the hand attains, meaning the attainment is within your will to receive, that changes, that improves, that is corrected, and then what you feel in it is called attainment. So we need to try in each and every state of ours is to make our will to receive as much as possible unified, meaning connected between all of us. And then in this connected desire in the 10 and mutual bestow to one another, we construct such a common desire that can begin to feel the concept of the Creator. Other than the Creator, we have nothing more to attain, and it's possible to attain him only in connecting the vessels that he created, and he broke and prepared for us an opportunity to reach him and to construct him as if from cubes, like from Lego blocks. But the attainment, let's say the degree that we're talking about of Abraham, is an attainment out of a feeling of unity, of connection. there's no attainment as I, right, you right, so the attainment is from a certain unification. That's where's one. Yes, sure, each and every place I wish to attain more and more of our unity in order to attain in this unity the essence of the unity which is the Creator. But is it still subjective feeling like in our world? How can it be subjective if you're coming from connecting all the friends in your desire according to your desire and your understanding? Nevertheless, it's from within the connection. It's from the connection of the desires that are opposite to one another. You wish to connect them together, and in putting together this puzzle, you are putting together the Creator. Come and see in such a way that you connect those pieces and you unite them together towards one goal. By that, you attain the quality called come and see boy Creator. So the attainment is from the mold of the 10. Yeah, but where does this mold exist? It doesn't exist in outside of us. Rather, inside each of us according to how well are we capable of putting together this mold. If you would allow me a few short questions. Could it be that I feel spirituality, but don't discern it as spirituality, or vice versa, that I think that it's spirituality? You can't say because you yourself are saying I don't know if it's this way or that way. We need to continue to scrutinize it. Next, in order to feel spirituality, do I have to have a screen? Can it be an individual screen, or does it have to be a common screen of the 10? Each one has his own vessel. The desire of each person is personal, individual. That's how it's developed. From the point in the heart, all the way to the end of correction, and by connecting himself more and more with others, by identifying with others. It's only in order to make his personal desires more similar to the Creator, to the form of the Creator. So, consequently, we do not change in this way in our fundamental point. We remain the same creatures as we were. Rather, there is a point which is characteristic to each and everyone, their point of departure, and there is his connection with the other, and to the extent that he serves the other that appears to him from within his fundamental point. Accordingly, he is constructing the correct form of connection, and by that he's building the vessel for the revelation of the force that's outside of him, the Creator. So it turns out that we are restricting our mal. We refuse to use the rule to receive. We rise above the will to receive to the above the sphere of from the sphere of we build our connections with everyone, with all the upper 9, and to the extent we can connect with them, or more precisely to serve them, because we rise above it, and then as much as we can serve that which is outside of us in the tent. This is our spiritual vessel, in that we identify with the Creator, and then we reveal in the upper 9 our connection, our identification with the Creator. If I understand correctly, that if I already receive the screen and I build this connection that now you described, then in such a way I help my friends to receive the screen, and then we connect between them, and then there's common attainment. Yes, this is correct. According to the work I do in the group, I come to the connection with a friend. This connection expands, then it rises. The stronger it is, the higher it grows, until we attain inside this connection the one who constructed that connection, who prepared that connection, which is the Creator. This is the meaning of I am first and I am last. Thank you. Good day, dear. On one hand, we are taught that there are the 70 nations of the world, and now it speaks of the 70 degrees that we, discover what the sages want to teach us by the fact that the number is the same number. We'll discover that later. There's a distance between us and the Creator. That distance can be divided into years, into different states, into various degrees of the light, degrees of the vessel, degrees of the screen, various Rashimo records, worlds. But all in all, you have the nature of the created being, the nature of the Creator, and how the created being approaches the Creator, and that's it. And the degrees of nearing are the degrees. You can name them in different ways. It has nothing to do with the times in our world, or heights in our world, or anything. Simply, the amount of nearing of the created being to the Creator, according to the quality of bestow that he acquires above the quality of reception that's revealed in him. Woman, no P29. The question about the difference between the qualities and the degrees of Abraham and Isaac. Is that the measure of bestow inside the vessel? Is that what differentiates between them? Yeah. The difference between the degrees is according to the degree of bestow. That's revealed, and later it's revealed according to the mode of bestow. Here we have a question. Are there two desires that can be in the same degree of bestow? Maybe yes, but according to the force, the intensity, or according to the qualities, which is something else. We will talk about it about different individual characteristics that appear in the different degrees. I have nothing. Okay, good morning, and thank you very much for allowing us to ask to the extent in which advancement is revealed in the 10. Also, it's revealed that our 10 is not connected, and the reason is in me. I am that reason for the fact that we have yet to advance enough, and that state comes like a bomb, and how to use this bomb. Now in this state, yesterday, you're also not closer to the Creator, and now you feel that you are more distanced from Him. That's because they wish to bring you closer. I'm not sure which example to use. Please look for them. Let's say I want to go somewhere. So I take a general map of the whole world and I fly to Australia. When I come to Australia, I take another map, and in the distance that appeared very small between two places in Australia in the large-scale map, now in the map that I open before me, the distance is much greater, and there's other things happening between these two cities, and so on and so forth, meaning the more we wish to see these things with greater detail, we get more details, and the distance appears to be greater between them, that the scale becomes finer. And the same thing here. If I used to have connection with the friends and connection with the Creator, pretty close connection that I can carry out quickly. When I'm making efforts to truly cover that distance, I can feel this distance getting bigger because the scale changed. We are entering a more detailed, a higher resolution map, but it's a sign we're coming closer. A question from my friend. What level of connection does the point in the heart represent? All the degrees of connection emanate from the point of the heart. The heart is called the desire of a person. If we work in any way towards spirituality, towards connection, towards the Creator, even if we don't want it, even if we don't understand, it doesn't matter. We're already doing actions from within the point in the heart. That point in the heart begins to develop through our study, through the connections we form between us. That's our work to expand the point in the heart until it dominates the heart. All the desires that it will give us the intention to bestow over all our desires. Hello there. Every spiritual state is given by connection of two states. Repeat, please. Please repeat my question. These new spiritual states are because there's a clash between new emotional states that we now see in different ways, and this reality that we live in. I don't understand. I don't understand the question. Did you get it, Jalad? No, maybe is. I understood the same thing. He could repeat it in a different way. Okay, tell him to think about it. Think about the question. Maybe write it down so it be clearer to him and to us, and I will answer it. Okay. PT35. No. Please, my question. These spiritual states are emotional states, feeling states. Yes, all of them, because it's in the will to receive we attain inside the desire, the extent to which our desire approaches bestow, where it's willing to work in the opposite way to how it was initially. So to the extent it rises above that initial desire, to that extent we can reveal in him spiritual phenomena. But it's in the same desire. We don't have any other vessel. That's why we say it all comes according to the intention. The intention in order to receive means we are in our natural desire with this intention, and as much as we try to rise above the intention to receive to in order to bestow, which is expressed in the 10 in our attitude towards the world, in our attitude to the Creator, eventually, then accordingly we begin to attain in that same intention to bestow. It will later be called reflected light, and we begin to attain in it the Creator's attitude towards us, which will be called direct light, and we connect with Him and reveal Him. There's nothing more to reveal only the Creator or the Creator's attitude to us. Hello, teacher. I wanted to ask my friend's question from Italy 1. I also feel that. Probably, how can we clarify or scrutinize that? It's a spiritual state or a corporeal state, the extent to which you are incorporated with a friend in one desire includes many internal there are many individual desires to the extent you can be incorporated in these desires and you aim these desires to their center, to their origin. That's actually how you locate the Creator. It's like being in space and you can't locate the Creator and you don't know how to come close to Him. But in your state, there's one guiding principle other than you. There are few more like you, and if you connect between you and you work according to the place of connection between you in this way, inside this vast space you begin to locate the Creator, or at least we're beginning to approach that place. The Creator is called a place, so we're coming closer to that place where we can locate Him or detect Him. We have no other skill to use, no discernments by which to aim yourself at Him. Rather, inside the space, by adding together all the inclinations, tendencies of your 10, and as you bring them together and connect them correctly, this points to the direction towards the Creator. And of course you have to constantly update this and aim yourself at Him more and more. This is the matter of the precision in the degrees your sensitivity to the concept of the Creator. Come and see, and according to how you raise this sensitivity, you are approaching Him. You're moving from one degree to another in this growing sensitivity, and that's how you approach Him until you begin to actually detect Him in the connection between you. That's why it's called Creator Boy. Come and see you've connected to such an extent that in those connections you form, each one is coming from his own qualities, but you are putting together these qualities in such a way that from the sum total of your qualities, you are building my image. That's what the Creator is saying, and that's how we detect Him, and that's why it's called Come and See. Everything depends on the connection between us, coming closer between us, the effort we put into overcome all the disturbances. And these disturbances, we understand they are not disturbances, but only means by which to direct us towards a more precise connection, so that in a certain moment in our efforts we'll begin to detect Him more. And of course we make mistakes and errors in location and distractions, but it's only in order to eventually detect Him more precisely, locate Him more accurately, so that inside these disturbances we'll begin to understand Him, to feel Him. Disturbances will appear, but with those disturbances, if we make efforts to approach Him, then they stop being disturbances. They appear to us as the Creator's language, matter of the language, the letters of the work, which is black over white. And that's how we come closer to Him, to the complete revelation of the Creator. Okay, PT 31 is asking what it means that we understand one another in the 10. If we're not yet in this true spiritual reality, well, we do what Rush recommends us to do. What's the question? Of course, I don't know what to do. But Kabbalists write, and we should try to do it. They should write articles that we should read, so it would influence me more powerfully. I need to read those articles together with the friends, to try to connect using those articles, and so on and so forth. This is what it's all about. Teacher, tell me the work. How in the connection between us can this be in relations between us? We will come to it. It's not the topic yet. Let's go to women. A question from Moscow 20 group. What does the Creator give us the feeling of this world? Then what is changing while we're correcting? We don't need to discover reality and spirituality from this world, rather we need to exist in this world corporally, beastly. Let's say, because in this world we are on the level of the animate degree and not more than that. So, we don't have much connection to this world except that we need to use it as a basis for starting our spiritual ascent. And it means that in this world we are detecting various forces, various qualities with which we can connect. And from the point of connection we attain in this world, we can begin our spiritual ascent. And what's happening on the level of this world, we accept it or we take it only to maintain our physical, our animal body in a way that allows us to continue to exist and to build above it a spiritual degree. That's all that we need. From PT 38. What's the difference between a degree and a world? A world is also a degree. It's a matter of its naming convention, if you will. They provide these definitions. A world is a more comprehensive degree. A soul is an individual state. In the orientation of the soul in the world, there are additional degrees that are points of reference for the connection of the soul to the world. From the Germany group, is it correct to ask for yourself a spiritual degree in order to bring the 10-year 10 fully to it? Of course, but we need to understand what is the meaning of a spiritual degree, meaning a force of bestow, a force of love, a force of connection. This is the essence of a spiritual degree, and if I ask for those forces, of course, it's good, and I'll work with them towards the 10 later. Mark 25, and the 10 have a common degree of spiritual attainment. Yes, of course. Next. 27. We will be reading the study of the Chapter 1 Part 2. Chapter 1, we begin learning about circles and straightness today, in that place of space and air, and this is how it comes down to us. But through the descent in the influence of the line of light upon us, it does all kinds of actions, and this way it creates within it degrees, descents, and all sorts of other matters. Perhaps some short introduction to understand all this. Straightness circles. What is all that? The light of Inso. Well, in simplicity, it's a light that has no end, no shape other than the shape of a circle, because it's a circle, it's a shape of perfection. Secondly, the light of ends, when it comes to us, it becomes a line, and we can discern in it a beginning and an end degrees in its descent from towards us. That's what we're studying here. That's it. So let's continue to the inner light. Interpretation. Item 1. Interpreting this line. The line that is extended from the light oven into the space after the restriction. Item 2. Explaining 1. Thin pipeline. The vessels of the tense field of straightness are called a pipeline or pipelines because they confine the roots of the light that travels through them with great accuracy and control, so it expands only through the specific roots in those vessels. They are like a pipeline that channels the water that travels through it in complete accuracy, and they are extended and come out from it in the same shape that is inside the pipeline, whether narrow or wide, without ever being any different. For this reason, the lights that travel through those pipelines are called tense of straightness, since they are extended according to the rules of those pipelines in straightness and in justice. In Hebrew also means honesty, justice. This means that the more important slides dresses in the more refined vessel, etc., without any change at all due to the strong control of the pipelines on them. The power of that control, which is in the above-mentioned pipelines, is because any desire in the upper degree is a compelling force in the lower degree which is emanated because of it. Therefore, the restriction on phase 4, which is a free choice in the vessels of the circles, becomes a compelling force in the vessels of straightness that are emanated by them. This force is called a screen. This is the meaning of the words in the so invert desire, and you will find the word or pipeline and quote. This means that when the pipeline is a screen, meaning restriction in control, meaning when it detains its will to receive in phase 4 by the power of the upper one that controls it, it is the opposite of the substance of the vessel itself, namely the will to receive, since it detains itself from eliciting its desire. This is why they imply quote invert desire, and you will find pipeline end quote. It means that the pipeline is opposite to the desire, for it compels its desire and does the opposite of what it wants. This is why you will find in all the teachings and the writings that when they want to name and emphasize the departure of the lights from phase 4, we call it restriction, and when we want to emphasize the power of the restriction that is added by the light of the line that did not expand to phase 4, we define it by the name screen, which is a detaining force that prevents the light from expanding to phase 4. And when we discuss the vessel in general, meaning the vessel and the screen together, we define it by the name pipeline, and we're discussing the light the vessel and the screen together, meaning the light that is clothed in the measure of the pipeline. It is defined by the name line, and when we discuss a vessel in which there is no screen, we define it by the name circle. Yes, that's what Bartolom writes about. Sentence in item 1, meaning the line that is extended from the light event into the space after the restriction. So this is what extends to us. It comes to us from the clee, that where there is a restriction of the light that was in the vessel that was a circle. It is then drawn by way of a line. Yes, we have in item 2 in the beginning, in terms of how the light reaches the vessels, which makes us feel a more important light. So what is this operation where he helps us through the vessels feel a more important who action? The action of the light. He says that the light does not extend unless it is through specific routes into those vessels. And then a few sentences after that, he said that in the more refined vessel, the grander light, a more important light, clothes and so on. So there are degrees in the expansion of the light into the line or the pipeline. We learn that the clee is incapable of receiving the light unboundedly by way of no boundary, rather only according to a boundary and an end, and therefore the light must become restricted and take on the shape of a line, and then it is called a pipeline, and in that pipeline, in that line, the light descends from one degree to the next. That's what he wants to convey to us. Last question on this topic, just to complete the scrutiny. This operation performed by the light through the pipeline is that through our vessels where we perform restriction and reflected light is that our vessel, or is that under the control of the Creator. The light we're studying now is where we still don't exist. We only discussed the light itself here, that since it went through the 4 phases of direct light, it comes through the line and builds for itself more and more vessels to expand in them. Thank you. Turkey 1. Turkey 1. Now in the first item speaks for pipeline. So where do we find this pipeline, this conduit? In the relations between the friends and our work in the tent. This is still not visible or heard between us. We will learn that, and then we'll understand how we can relate what's written in the book to our habits and relations between us, but not yet. Thank you, love. From where does the power to detain the desire come? We still are not discussing this, but basically the light to the force to detain the desire is in the light itself, and the light gives to the clee that quality, and then the clee becomes restricted. Who detains the desire? The will. The desire itself detains the desire. How does it work? The desire in the clee, though in the will to receive. As it develops, it comes to a state where it ascends, as it's called, and limits his desire, the vessel in it, to completely locking it down. So what is the difference between desire and vessel? Desire is one of the states of the queen, so it's the desire itself which is detaining the desire. Yes, there are various desires. Each has control and its degree, and from that degree its control then influences all the lights in the pipeline. Thank you, Florida. Ah yes, thank you, Rob. Is the pipeline a new form of the will to receive, or is it an addition to it? A new form of the desire, because the pipeline is ready to receive the light and pass it on through itself, meaning it already is limited. The light that's in the pipeline, it already takes the shape of the pipeline. Etal 4. Good morning. I don't understand why the pipeline why can he bestow upon us only through the form of the pipeline and not through the form of circles? The circles refers to the light that exists in unbounded vessels, and the pipeline is already an outcome from the expansion of the light in the circles, where the circles become straightness, and the light that bestows through this straightness already takes the shape of straightness, meaning that it has beginning and end to its pestle and relationships according to the laws of circles and lines, and that's how it comes. Teacher, and he says that the line is like a thin pipe. How do we relate to that? All of that will come later. Now, we're just studying the initial definitions. Kiev 1 writes that the Vatan and Sino, or desire, and pipeline, they come from the same root, just inverted, is the work of the colist to turn the light into direct. The work of the colist is to feel the light coming to him through the line, and the light that comes to him comes as surrounding light is circle. It comes and clothes in the vessel, and the vessel needs to receive it in a more correct way and respond to it correctly, so that between them there is connection, so that one understands the other and fills the other. All of that is what we're going to discuss now. We say that the ascent in the bright line is the restriction and descent of the lines. No, all of that we'll learn later. Philippines. Good morning, Rav. Morning, sir. It is my understanding that the purpose of the restriction, or mathak, is to control our egotistic desires from becoming more intense and stronger. On the contrary, is it also true that we must allow the light to enter in order to correct our egotistical desires? Thank you. The goal of the restriction in the screen is to limit the expansion of the light from the creator according to the ability of the vessel to receive it, to feel it, and to respond correctly. If I understood the question, he's also asking why limit the light. If the light itself is that which develops us and corrects the desire, why reject it? No, this all depends on how we can receive the light. So we can receive it in a way that we don't limit it. And this is called the form of so no boundary, no limit to the expansion of the light, or we make all kinds of restrictions, limitations, and then the light expands in us according to our limitations. Good morning. The association between light and vessel, the cooperation between them, is it mutual to the extent that the vessel to its measure of correction influences the light, and the light influences the vessel, but it all follows the thought of creation which needs to bring the vessel to the end of correction. Yes, thank you. Astana, Arner, function. We have a question from India. We can take India, please. It is said that everything is made up of light. But then what is the clay made up of? Because is made to contain the light. So what is the clay made up of? The vessel is made from the will to receive the light, the will to receive, and the light itself, its quality, is the will to bestow. They are exactly in such a relationship of a giver and a receiver. Turkey 7. The question is, how can light exist inside the vessel under the control of the screen? That we'll learn. We still haven't discussed it here. Joseph, when we learn from you how to adhere to you the best way. I didn't understand. Open your mouth better. As we learn from you what is the best way to adhere to you, to think about what we're studying. That's it. Women Mock 43. We learned that after the restriction, the light cannot enter the vessel without being authorized, and so the line appears. But if Malhut herself rejected the light, the question is who calls the light back, and why does the light re-enter the vessel? The line is that not simply are a light a line of flight, but an answer to a lack at is still not scrutinized. But it appears there is something to it. But, put it like this, the desire that awakens in the line, afterwards it becomes a vessel. The rejection of the light is necessary in order to receive it afterwards. Mark 11. Tell me please, describe here such a precise process. Can we feel that process through our questions now, and your answers to them? We can. Yes. There are people who can't ask questions because they're busy with their own question, and then they don't hear the questions of the others because they are completely determined, immersed in their own question. I would advise such people to, after our lesson, listen to the lesson again, specifically relating to the questions that others are asking, so that you begin to become incorporated with them. H10. Studying the shape, the formation of the worlds. How does that help us in our free choice? Later on, it helps us in everything. By that we awaken our vessels from the side of the stow, and that's why it's very important. The first part of test is very important. When does the reception of the light, or its rejection, when does it make the vessel, apart from the light, distant to the light? The reception of the lights, or the departure of the lights, it helps us build connection with the created being, which is through the reception of the light, and the creator, which is the influence of the light. One to the other. PT 19. Good morning. Good morning, friends. What is a straight line? What is this? What does it mean, this concept of a straight line? Straight line refers to the relationship between one to the other. Does it relate to surrounding light and inner light, or is it unrelated, connected to inner light? Yes. Another little question. The line itself, Is it a means of communication between the light and the vessel, or is there no connection there? Yes, the line is the connection between the giver and the receiver. Thank you, thank you. He writes that the pipeline can have different shapes which determine the feeling of the life that fills it, with the name of tens of straightness. And he writes that these forms, he says, that they can be thin or expanded. What does it mean, thin or expanded? Wide. Well, thin pipeline, that's clear to us. So, it can't receive and pass on a lot of lights, and strong meaning that we can still fill it up. And we'll learn later more about this. Now, we're not talking about the relationship between the vessel and the light that put it together. So, thank you. Here, hello. You told a student that what we're talking about, we don't exist there yet. So where do we exist? Or more correctly, what do we need to do in order to be in what we're now discussing? We have to listen exactly to what we're talking about during the lesson to repeat it at home if possible, and that's how we'll advance what we've learned. Can I ask another short question? Yes, he read that if you invert the word desire, you get the word pipeline. So, does it mean that it's not in our power to perform actions with the desire to bestow, intention to bestow? No. If you turn your will to receive to a will to bestow, then you'll exactly find the vessel of bestow. I saw an opposite world. The line, how does it influence the circles? What changes in the circles? With what intention are they incorporated? And how do they relate to the creator as opposed to the line? Circles are unlimited. A circle, simply all of its discernments are equal, and its desire is clarified as it appears as a circle. How does the line influence the circles? What changes in the circles after the reception of the light through the line? The circles change from receiving through the line a special influence from it, and therefore the circle becomes something else. Essence changes. No, we're not talking about essence yet, but its nature is changing. Thank you. Turkey 8. Turkey 8. Love is the connection between the friends related to the formation of a shared kind of love, or is this connection related to receiving light and the nature of light? In other words, what is the connection between love and light? Light is the tendency to love. The vessel is the tendency to receive the light and enjoy its fulfillment. That is all that we need to know for now. Turkey 1. Love. What prayer opens the pipeline and gate for us? We will learn that later. The main thing is our relation to it. Good morning. Does the line describe a connection between the upper one and the lower one? Yes. And the circle that's on the same degree? Yes. The fourth phase, that we are in the depths of the will to receive. How in that state can we be sensitive to the light, aware to it? We ourselves have to try and realize the actions of the light and the actions of the vessel, one on the other, until we begin to get the right impressions from these actions, and then we'll begin to get closer to the lights and the vessels. Next, PT 23. It's written that the restriction detains its desire to receive in the fourth phase. Does it mean that the first three phases do receive, and this detainment it relates only to the fourth? No. The first three phases are still not a clear. The will to receive, when it appears in its fourth phase, and when we wish to get in contact with the upper light to resemble it, to receive it or reject it, then we need to be connected to the upper light, and that means that we rise to the third degree from the fourth degree. We will later get deeper into that. It says here in what you read that the screen and vessel together are defined as a pipe. So in our work, we're constantly working on trying to build the screen, and through our common work to draw the light in order to build that screen. So what is the pipe? The pipeline in the 10. It's not necessarily in the 10. If the 10 is corrected, then everyone is linked through their desires, and they're working on the relationship between them to be like a pipeline. Can you repeat that, please? If the friends are interconnected, then they exist in a line between them, and then all their actions are passed on from one to the other only through the laws of the line. So what actually turns the pipeline into a line? Is there some kind of infrastructure that we build together, and what causes the light to go through it? If we wish to be connected in the correct relationship between us, then we are each becoming linked to the other, so that this connection is called a line, and then the upper light goes through the connections between us through the entire line, meaning that the light passes automatically, so to speak. The light doesn't pass automatically. If we make the efforts and connect between us, then the light passes between us from one to the other in a form we call a line. And we'll continue reading item 3, which clarifies the word 1, the precision with regard to the word 1 emphasizes the correction of the 3 lines that were made in the world of it tells us that in the world of Adam, Cadman, this correction of 3 lines is still absent, and there is only 1 line. The reason for this is that the correction of the 3 lines occurred afterwards in the world of and is extended from the association of the quality of mercy with judgment. Here, however, we are dealing with the world of Adam, where this association has not yet taken place. This is why there is only 1 line here. The entrance of the light into the vessel of reception of the emanated being is called expansion. It has already been clarified that the vessel of reception in this emanated being is called a pipeline. Yes, women Hebrew 1, I can't hear you. Are there circles within the line? No, there's a line. They're the form of the circles, and then the light expands in it. According to the nature of the circles, ask if there's an order of appearance of the lines, or do the circles expand according to their own laws? There's no other answer right now. Women 26. How do the circles receive light without a screen? No, it's written that the circles are vessels without a screen. So how can they receive light? First of all, they acquire a screen, and the light is felt by them and fills them to the extent of the screen upon them. What's the difference between their screen and the screen of the there isn't? So they have a common screen. We have an active screen. Circles in the pipeline. The first spirit last. In the beginning there are 10 spirit, and they go through a restriction, and it is made darkness, and through the restriction, the light of the line can enter. Then to the extent that they can rise above the restriction, they receive the upper light, and it fills them. The last precision. Are the circles actually the darkness that comes? The circles are our vessels, aren't under the restriction, that we can't perform a restriction upon them. That's why they remain circles. Vessels we can restrict become vessels of lines. It depends on the connection they can keep with those lines, with the straightness. To that extent they're connected between them, and they pass. Light woman unity of the line causes the light to come according to certain conditions from that moment onward. Only when we meet that condition the created being receives the light. The thickness of the line doesn't mean that the quality changed. Why can it receive only through a line? Is it a new kind of pleasure? I don't understand the question. The created being has a desire. The created being can close himself from receiving the light. That's called that. He restricts himself. If after that, it can partially open the light to enter itself, the nature of creation itself, of created being itself, can it be said that it's pleasure? Yes, of course. If the created being opens himself after it decided not to receive the light, and then it decides to receive the light, so that will be the right reception to receive in order to bestow it. Make a precision in absolute, there's a clear condition that there must be balance between, and the limitation, the restriction where we are right now in the text. What is the exact condition for reception of the light? Repeat. If I understand correctly, the condition for reception of the light is balance between restriction and now. Before we are in our world, what's the condition to receive the light? In our world, it's what we learn. What we learn now, the world we're studying in, there's a balance between reception of the light to its rejection, and the vessel that doesn't receive the light but opens itself in order to equalize with the Creator, to resemble Him with the light that it receives. That's a corrected vessel, and that's before us. Love. What's the situation of a creative being where there are 3 components? The circles, the light, and the pipeline. They exist in the spiritual world in order to synchronize the actions between the and the. If I may ask, the circles in the line, do they appear immediately or one after the other? And what comes first? The circles come first, and then after the restriction made by the created being comes the line. A line is created. that connects between the different elements in creation between them. The circles are not connected to info, connected to the line. So why isn't the line first? After the restriction, it doesn't come gradually. Gradual restriction. After the restriction happens in the line, just to make a precision the connection between the friends, it's in the form of a pipeline, or can it be in a form of a circle? No, only a pipeline. Thank you. 3. PT. In the one line, the force that activates the vessels of straightness. Is it the force of control that comes from the creator or from the created? Being on behalf of the creator. And is the screen, does it always come from the creator? Yes, usually. Florida. A thank you, dear Rob. He writes in the first paragraph of item 3 that the correction of 3 lines occurred afterwards in the world of absolute and is extended from the association of the quality of mercy with judgment. Does the single line of Adam, does it also have its own association? What quality does it feel from the light? The connection between Adam to what? So the light is above Adam. It's in the world of I don't hear and also don't understand what he wants to say. Thank you. After the restriction, a vessel that has the restriction in the screen. How does it know with which vessels to open so it can receive in them in order to bestow, according to the screen that remained in him, nothing else. The vessel works according to the screen. In other words, the screen scrutinizes with which desires he can receive in order to bestow. Yes. Thank you. Does it work? Does is the pipeline. Working with the screen. The pipeline is the screen. So the screen defines the form. It's written that the entry of the light into the vessel is called expansion. So how does this expansion connect to the term pipeline and vessel of reception before the correction of the 3 lines? I didn't exactly understand where it's written that the entry of the light into the vessel is called expansion. How does this expansion connect to the term of pipeline in the vessel of reception before the correction of the 3 lines? Before the correction of the 3 lines, it's the light can be received in the pipeline. PD 6. The root of the soul. Does it come from the line or is it in the circles from the line? For a woman. 11. Good morning. Do you love the restriction of the light? Is it an independent desire? So my question is, now we're beginning to study material that is not simple to absorb. Should we restrict that light within us in order to receive it? You need to hear today's lesson a few times and to determine clearly what you understood and what you didn't. Afterwards we can start working on it, receiving this lesson into yourself. After we become a pipeline in the 10, that's our goal, to create a screen and become a pipeline. What does the light come afterwards and what should we do? Each one of us partners in this pipeline. The light can enter him, meaning deeper into us, into our uncorrected places. You'll discover that later on. Morning. Thank you very much. More precise and persistent scrutiny of the Creator's relation toward me is that the building of the walls of the pipeline. The pipeline is made of our vessels, but that's why we need to try to work through the laws of that pipeline. That's it. Thank you and good day. There's a feeling that we have to listen again, no doubt. But when you say that the circles are a vessel without a screen, why do you say that in the 10 when we pray and work, we should depict ourselves as being in a circle? Is this how we build the screen? We're building a screen through the connection between us, according to what's written in the book, Women. Latin 15 Women. Similar question. Are we working in a 10 in a circle through a moment until we come to the line of soul? We need to try between us to be connected in the laws of the line. Women PT 23. Thank you. What's the connection between the pipeline and the line? All of its components are under the law of the pipeline. Which one's above and who's below? It's all organized according to the pipeline. The main thing is, as much as they resemble the upper light, the rest except for the pipeline doesn't belong to receiving the light in the pipeline. The wisdom of Kabul only talks about the light being received in the line, whether 1 line or 2 or 3 lines. Slovak 4. Thank you. Question for my friend. Does the light have its own feeling? The vessels of the light have their own feeling. Yes, we're concluding love. Final question. You talked a lot in this Lesson about the laws of the pipeline. What are the laws of the pipeline? It's how to receive the upper light that comes to them according to the laws between lights and vessels. And what are the laws of the line? The same thing. We concluded the lesson. We only started this topic. We'll continue tomorrow. So, thank you, love, and we will move on to the next part of the lesson. Reading the Zohar together. We are reading from the Book of Zed. The introduction to the Book of Zed. The article is the second commandment. We're continuing from paragraph that starts with it follows that be not divided. It follows, divided into two sides. And so light is revealed in her upper, standing above the upper water. And one who is rewarded with a degree of upper above the has wealth, a long life, children as olive plants surrounding his table, and he governs his enemies. His ways are firm for him, and all that he does succeeds. However, the light has already been cancelled, concealed from Satina, which stand below lower water. Those who receive from it must love the Creator even if he takes their souls away from them. This is the meaning of the two sides of love, which are gal and that of with respect to the right inner meaning love. This is done by concealing the light of the act of creation, and one who is rewarded with being whole in the love of the Creator, in love of upper above, and in the love of this is proper love. One must integrate the fear in those two sides of love. Since on one side of mercy upper above, fear should be evoked, so he would not cause the sin. And also, on the other side of the love of one, must evoke the fear of the side of harsh judgment, since when he sees that there is harsh judgment on him, he should evoke the fear. Also, if he should fear his master properly and not harden his heart, because being love and fear are always attached to one another. Hence, fear must be included in both of meaning and in meaning. Then fear clings to both sides, the side of good and love and the side of harsh judgment, and she's included in them. If fear is included on the side of good and love, it is complete love as it should be. There are two which are four here. Since there is love only in two sides, and sinner and love is incomplete on their own, either of their two sides, unless there is fear in each of them, since there cannot be without, which is love without fear. The next article, the third commandment, 204. The third commandment is to know that there is a great and ruling God in the world, and to properly unify him each day in the upper earth, make them one unification. In the 6 words of Hero Israel, and aim the desire with them upward. For this reason, the word one should be extended to the measure of 6 words. The Z says 2 things. 1. We must know that there is a great and ruling God in the world. 2. Properly unify him each day. This is so because first we must know those two sides in love, upper above, that there is a great God, upper above, who is great in, that he is ruling in the world, who is called ruler, which implies to the judgment that come out of them, that the light was concealed from them, and the harsh judgment comes out, since this name ruling and governing indicates judgments. The meaning is that we should know those two sides of love and include fear in each of them, and he will receive the love of the Creator both in mercy and in success of his ways and in judgment. Since there is, then is regarded as complete love. Afterwards each day a proper unification must be made in the upper vak to raise man's on, and at that time and sunrise, and unite as one with who are called upper, as they clothe, whereby this unification rise in place of a buma above the where there is upper water, and the light is not hidden from them, and when you are filled with light, they give to all the worlds, and they appear in the world. This is the meaning of the reading of Shemar. The 6 words here, O Israel, are 6 sides of sun, and the 6 sides of sun must be unified, so they unite as one, with the 6 upper sides, which are, with them, the desire should be aimed upward, meaning aim the desire, and the to be included in them, in to make them one unification in vak of, which are 6 words of here, O Israel. The word one should be extended, meaning that should be drawn in the word one. It is so because the light of which extends from to upper, which are, unites the in the light of sins. 1 is 13 in, indicating to the drawing of the light, but hence in one there should be intention to draw the, however in this unification, There's no intention to extend to, but only to increase the vac of through. Their integration in the upper V. One should be extended to the measure of 6 words. To extend means to draw, as the measure of 6 words into. By that his vac become of, because the 6 words of Hear, O Israel, correspond to, and through this unification which increases him in, it is then possible to extend to. Let's renew our intention with clip. Number 1 Society. If we direct ourselves without all this knowledge that we're talking about now, if we direct ourselves to and toward the society to be as an embryo there, to receive everything that is in society, toward the society directly, then by this, we are preparing ourselves to reach impregnation. Because if I unknow myself, I'll begin to feel what is in the group, the greatness of the goal, love, connection, mutuality, mutual responsibility, everything but. It's there from above downward, listen. It is there from above downward. These things, still not, in them, in the society, in the feeling. Revealed, because if I unmold myself, I feel what is there potentially that should be revealed toward them. They still don't reveal it, like Ben Kisma. He knew how to anal himself toward his friends, toward his little his beginning students, so then he revealed what is in them above is still not in them. They haven't revealed it, and that way he can reveal up to the end of correction, because there are no changes. It's it. Change is only with respect to the attaining individual. Continuing to read item 205. It is written, let the waters under the heavens be gathered onto one place. It means that the degrees under the heaven will gather onto one place to be in completeness for 6 ages back. And yet in the unification of Hero Israel one must hide the fear of it, meaning to extend the dalt in the one. This is why the dal in it is big. And this is the meaning of what is written, and let the dry land appear, meaning the dal, which is the dry land, appear, and connects in that unification. The unification of is to extend v offlut. This is the meaning of the verse. Let the waters under the heavens be gathered onto one place, meaning let the degrees below the heaven gar gathered onto one place to be in completeness for vac. Since one place is the upper, where the light of and shines in the light of, it was said that the degrees below the heaven, which are the 6 etches 6 sides of Zarbin under the Biner, which are called heaven in regard to Zarpan be gathered onto one place, the 6 upper sides, to be in completeness for. So they should, as they should, so they will receive the light of 2. Then vac of Sanin will unite, although only in completeness for vac, only for good loot of vac. And yet in the unification of Hero Israel, one must hide the fear of it, to extend the dalat of the, which is the bottom fear. This is so, because complete love is love, on both sides, in judgment, and in mercy and success of his ways. This is why the light of the act of creation first came out, and then was concealed. When it was concealed, the harsh judgment came out, and the 2 sides were included in it, mercy and judgment, together so they would be whole. This is love as it should be. In this love too, fear should be awakened. It follows that there are 2 discernments of love and fear, upper love and fear, upper above and lower love and fear. Wholeness is achieved only by both discernments together. Thus the concealing of the light in his suit is done to disclose the lower love. Even if he takes your soul away, even then the fear must cling to that lower love, and one should fear one's master, and not harden one's heart. Then one has love and fear and completeness, and clings to the upper, above ma and 2, receiving all the pleasantness and good in them. This refers to the unification of their reading. Once he raised the zone, and included them in the 6 upper sides, to extend the great love in zone in the word, which is the light that was created on the first day in the verse, and God said, let there be light. That was created. Still in the unification of Hero Israel, the fear must be connected did. This is so because one should also disclose and extend the concealing of the light that was made into complement it with a lower love and fear too, as without it, it is considered incomplete. One should extend the dal in the big, because the big letters are in. This is why the dalin is big, implying the place of concealing of the light that was done in. This is the reason why it should be extended, and to aim in the concealing in her to cling to the lower love and fear as well. It is written, and let the dry land appear, meaning that the dull dry land will be sane and connect to that unification, because there is no wholeness in the upper love and fear that were extended in the 6 words of the Shema reading, through the word which is the meaning of let there be light. Rather it is through the low love and fear which appear through the concealing of the light of which are called daylight. This is why it is written that the waters under the heavens be gathered onto one place, which is extension of light of the 6 degrees of which are below the heaven. Afterwards it is written, and let the dry land appear. This relates to the dalit in that it should be extended, and to aim that it becomes dry by concealing the light. So, the dalit, the dry land, will be seen and tied to that unification of light in upper above that were extended in back of son to complete the love in 2 sides. 206. Once connected above, in, she must be tied below as well in her masses in the 6 other edges that are below in malt. These are blessed be the name of the glory of his kingdom forever and ever in which there are 6 other words of unification in Hebrew. Then the land that was dry becomes a land for bearing fruits and offspring, and for planting trees. Explanation. In the shearing, the upper unification, in, was tied above in above Ima. Afterwards the dalinad must be tied to the other V below on the 6 sides of Nukov, Rachel who stands from the Kazov, and below in which all 600,000 souls of Israel called the masses of the her masses are included. And after Zanpin was included in the light of Abba, and the concealing of appeared in him, which is as it is written, let the dry land appear, of the Daled. Those 2 discernments must be extended to the Zin from his, and below. These are the 6 words. Blessed be the name of the glory of his kingdom forever and ever. These 6 words correspond to the 6 sides of, for in blessed be the name of the glory of his kingdom forever and ever. There are 6 other words of the unification, and we'll move on to report about the Congress from Argentina. No translation. Sorry friends, we're not getting any translation. Congress. One announcement for conclusion. Difference. This coming Sunday between 6:30 and 7:30 p.m. Israel time there'll be a meeting with the management of the association of, it'll be in their root system, and translated. It's only for the world Kli. The Israeli doesn't have to participate. In friends who already planned meetings of 10 and dissemination meetings can continue as usual. No physical gathering. Those who are interested can connect virtually during the meeting. We'll hear updates toward the upcoming Congress in upcoming changes in our home in the study frameworks, and we'll be happy to take your questions from the world Clay.